Hi, I'm Emily Wilson, and we're in Interim recording studios right now. Sam, what are we doing here?
We are giving you folks a look at how the modern shoe is ruining the foot was made, but not really, because we didn't take any videos when we did make it many years ago. So we've kind of reconstructed what it would have been like to be there. And our very nice camera crew and Ellie has assisted us in that illusion by interviewing us and by filming us singing songs, sort of as we recorded them, or as we would have recorded them when we did make the record. One, two, sense it don't make, saying it don't scan. Why shouldn't I take you as you am? Make it don't sense, scan it don't sane. What's your 2 cents? Explain. Well, you know that I'm no mud. If you ask me to, I'll stay. But every time you put me up, I get down some new way. Bed it don't rest, blanket don't warm. I'm not my best, I'm in poor form. It's you I love, it's love I need. It's more than enough, surely. Well, I'd given you this cup, I was baked into the clay. But now every time you put me up, I get down some new. Sense it don't make, saying it don't scan. Why didn't I take your hand? Well, I might have been alright if I just seen it through. Now when I just can't sleep at night, I'll be missing you. You.
Hi, I'm Jay. I play drums and sing backing vocals in Any Young Mechanic.
Hi, I'm Alan McBean, and I play bass in Any Young Mechanic. And we're Any Young Mechanic.
Well, I guess let's start off talking about getting into the zone when it comes to recording an album like The Modern Shoe is Ruining the Foot. Obviously, music is a job. Some people don't know that, but it is. How do you treat going to the studio? Do you want to treat it like walking into the office and locking in, or do you want to have more freedom with it? How do you toe that kind of line between fun and artistic expression and work?
I think it's good to look after yourself. Like if you get a good night's sleep and
Yeah.
you know no like going crazy the night before, because then you will feel bad, and then feeling bad in the studio is never good. But I think if you have if you're too rigid about it, then you might miss out on cool thing. You like what happens in the room is the record, and the spontaneity of that you don't want to lose. So, I mean, that's kind of a boring middle of the road answer, but I think sometimes freedom and creation can get confused with like just taking care of yourself, or
Yeah.
not taking care of yourself is like a creative win, but it's not. I think just being rested and knowing the material is good for me.
I'd agree 100%. Yeah, no, but
fair
it's
enough.
true. Yeah, just if you go in knowing the stuff, it like being well rehearsed and all of that, so it helps a lot, and you can kind of relax, because that's where you actually want to be, is to be kind of like not super tense about it or anything. It's like, fuck, I got to get this right, or that's the kind of the worst zone you can be in.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're like well rehearsed, and then you can be relaxed, that's the best. And then you're like more receptive to things happening by chance or whatever. Yeah.
And obviously, with the Any Young Mechanic songs, Sam will write the initial song, and then you will all very much contribute creatively to the music around it. Does Sam ever talk to you guys about his inspiration for the songwriting, or his own personal relationships with the songs? Like, how much does he let you into that?
Very in a very limited sense, I'd say.
Yeah.
Almost never.
Whatever.
In fact, yeah.
Well, Jake, and do you think you can sometimes tell?
Yeah, well, I just sort of like been around while he was writing the whole
Yeah.
album, and he was playing me the stuff like we were just hanging out. So I had more of an idea of what was going on, because I don't know, I know how these things work with songwriting and the things that have been happening recently. Or like we watched Burning together, and then he writes Barn Burning like
Yeah.
a few days later. It's not like, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, and it doesn't go into the psychoanalysis territory, but it's nice to I don't know. I'm really big on lyrics. I like sitting with lyrics and what their intention is, and trying to, bring that out of the song in the playing. But yeah, sometimes I'll talk to Sam about what something means. But I feel like getting into and this is exactly what that's about, is sort of slightly unhelpful. So you want to have all the interpretations on the table. But yeah, sometimes you can just tell, and that's fun too.
Yeah. Well, how much do you bring your own emotions to the song? Like, when you are in the studio, or when you're adding a part, do you leave your emotions at the studio door? Can you do that?
Is that even possible?
Well,
I,
some
I,
people
I would
can,
say,
I think.
I would say that it's almost a fool's errand to believe that you can completely unemotionally make a part or play music or do an artistic thing without bringing your own emotional capacity to it. I think you might think you are, but I think that actually might be functionally impossible. I don't know if that's a hot take, but I think no matter, like, your perspective on it is like inexorable. Yeah. Little $10 word there, but yeah, it's from the process.
Yeah, I guess like part of it is making conscious decisions sometimes to go against maybe how, if a song is a certain way, you kind of want to play the song, but as you say, it gets in there anyway sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. And how does it feel to play the songs again now? Obviously, you've been actually sitting on them for quite a while. It has been a while. Is there any kind of emotional distance there? Is it still very emotionally immediate? What is your relationship like to that music now?
Yeah, it's sort of interesting, like, because even the way we play them now is a little bit different, and we've been playing them, all the way through, like, 2.5 years now. So, and then we've like changed heaps as people, as musicians through that time. That's sort of reflected in how we play it. For me, there's probably a bit of distance from it. I don't know, especially, I don't know how much we want to get into this, but working on other things, new things,
Yeah.
which are quite different.
Yeah.
Coming back to a live set and doing that, it's like, oh yeah, okay, this is from that time, and you can access that kind of like that time when we were working on that, but at the same time, it's sort of helpful just to approach it as you are now. And so I guess that does create some sort of weird distance to the music now in a sort of like refreshing way. Yeah, I don't know.
It's cool to have the album as a document of the time. Absolutely. I feel like the exciting thing for us now is being able to play the songs for new audiences, and that gives it its own reflection back, and that keeps it fresh to me, at least. Because I think if we were just in the room together, just playing these songs over and over again to no one, it would start to be a bit like, "Argh."
Yeah.
But like having like new like they're playing like live sets and people that have never heard the music, and when they get excited about it, it becomes easier to connect with it again, or like get back into that headspace of when the songs were fresh to us. So that kind of gives it a new spin.
Yeah. Do any particular memories from the recording process stand out?
I really liked the floors in the studio, and like for a bit, I was walking around I think in socks, and it was just nice because it felt quite freeing. Playing the drums in socks sometimes it's like, it was the kind of and the place where you could walk around, without your shoes on, and that felt nice. And that's not even like some funny thing about the name of the album or anything like that. But I just remember that just felt like just felt comfortable in that regard. I think that helps with helps with the playing when you feel comfortable in a space like that, because some places you record you can't have no shoes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. It was comfortable in some ways, but in other ways extremely chaotic, like because we had very limited time. And that was sort of fun actually, because it was sort of like, oh shit, we got to do 4 songs today, and sort of like on the clock, the saving grace was that we were well rehearsed enough, but it was kind of like just enough.
Do you think you're the kind of musicians where that's a helpful thing? Like, the idea that diamonds are made under pressure, you have like a tiny gap to make it happen? Or would you rather have had more time?
Well, in a way, not really.
Yeah. No,
I sort of cringe at some of the stuff that I play on it now, but at the same time, it's just, it was fun. And
You cringe.
Yeah, big time. I can't listen to some of the tracks really. There's like bass lines to nowhere. Can Sardinas is one where I just keep going up. It's like,
Yeah.
that's not going anywhere, man.
But you wouldn't re-record it if you had the opportunity. You'd leave it.
Yeah. But at the same time, the kind of like slightly ramshackle quality about it is sort of what's charming about it.
Yeah, it makes it what it is.
I think at a certain point you get it was like Guns N' Roses album where they spent like 5 years making it, or like 10 years making it. They keep going back to things. It's like at a certain point you can kind of make the same song forever if you really wanted to. I don't know. I think it came out really well. Really, really proud of it. And then like I think there's always going to be things that you might do differently, but I don't know. You can kind of that's the porcelain, man. Like if you look into it too long and just start freaking out,
Yeah. Fair enough. And obviously, I feel, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. I feel like you have been writing with Sam for the longest out of everyone in the band.
This is true.
Yes. What do you think has changed most about your relationship from obviously when you first met and started collaborating at university to being in the studio now, basically?
I don't know. I obviously we met. We're both like 18. Yes, I was 17, and you change a lot from 17 to 24, 25, just in general. So I think there's obviously like life situations, and you move around, and we used to live very close together, and now or like the walking distance, and now we don't. And obviously, there's just like different things that happen with life. But actually, part of what is really awesome is that we know each other so well and know each other, like how each other are thinking about music to such a degree that we can still collaborate in a really connected way despite life moving around a lot. And I think that's really cool, and you don't get many of those relationships in your life. So just having an understanding and a trust in a musical context is that's a hard thing to come by. So I think I don't know, when I met Sam, I had like never played guitar, and it was like he was like doing like beatsy stuff, like from his laptop. That was the kind of music he was making. It was like James Blake, and now it's all very different. So, but that's the thing. You go on the journey. I think it kind of has changed and hasn't changed in a really cool way.
Can I
Yeah.
talk about how my relationship with Sam has changed?
Yes, you can, even if it hasn't been as long. So that's impressive.
He used to
but-
be, yeah. I mean, he used to be such a nice guy. You know, I met him. I thought this is a really nice guy. You know, just really softly spoken. You know, gentle individual. Anyway, at one point he just went off the wrong track, and started talking to me about all this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, one
Cigarettes
time
he was smoking.
yeah, the cigarettes he was smoking, exactly. And then I figured it out what it was the other day. He's talking about all these electronics that he's got in this new sort of serum that he's developed. Anyway,
So how are you going to pull him
I
back
f-
on the right track?
well,
How are you going to do it?
I realized what the scheme was.
Oh yeah.
And I have to tell you, I'm on board. He wants to reanimate.
No, he doesn't. Moving swiftly along. I want to talk about when the song that you're working on, whatever it is at the time, it feels like a finished product to you, whether it is in, after it's been recorded and can be listened to, by physical media or streaming or whatever, or if it is when it is in the actual act of being performed, or if a song ever feels like a finished product to you guys.
That's a tricky one. I think because we only just started releasing things. Well, I feel like mostly we would consider when we've actually like sort of finished the arrangement when we consider it done, which can kind of be a never-ending process. But at a certain point, it is kind of like that feels good now.
Yeah.
And when it does, you kind of call it. And it's interesting because the arrangements can can even change past that, even after you record them, But I think there's a point at which we all kind of sit around and think, okay, that one's done, even before we've recorded it. That would be my guess.
Yeah, I basically agree. I feel like it's either the first time you play something live, when you record something, whichever comes first, like that can feel like when it's crossed like an official threshold of like, oh yeah, that song exists because like we played it that one time or it exists in a recorded sense. But when it feels good is after that first, like, oh, you finished playing it in rehearsal and the arrangement felt good. And you're like, oh yeah, now we can then take it to one of those two spaces to sort of have it be like, documented. But yeah, that's like, you kind of just feel it in the room of like, oh yeah, we can now do that song either live or now we can take that song to the studio.
Yeah, okay. And Alan, I wanted to ask you, obviously, your background is in classical music, but what we're talking about right now is if we have to choose a genre, we'll probably choose folk music. How do you think your classical background has contributed to how you have approached playing and writing on this record?
It hasn't. I don't know.
Get him.
I don't know. No, yeah. Well, yeah. It's tricky. It's tricky to know what comes from where.
Yeah.
Classical stuff is my main bag for a long time,
Yeah.
and I only just sort of very recently started doing more of this stuff than that, and they are sort of in different worlds. They do it does, and Tia especially encourages me to, for instance, get the bow out and try some things there, try some ideas that are more from sort of 20th century sort of classical areas than anything else. But honestly, most of it's just from mucking about playing, walking bass lines and stuff, which I also did a bit of in uni, and listening to folk records and stuff.
Yeah. Well, speaking of listening to folk records, I'm wondering when you're in the quite intensive process of recording the album, which from what I can remember was quite short. I'm wondering, do you allow yourself to listen to and be immersed in other music, or do you fear that will overly influence your musical decisions on the record? How do you approach that?
I think it's good. I think it's good to listen to anything that kind of strikes you at the time as interesting. Things have a funny way of working their way in, and I feel like without sounding too like pompous or anything, like that is the strength of the band, is that there's like a lot of different areas coming in together. So I don't think there's any point restricting what you're listening to in terms of that. If we all just listened to folk music when we were making the record, it would probably would have been pretty lame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember what I was listening to at the time.
I can't either. I feel like, I like, it's cool to, I can't remember it on this occasion, but like, you won't even realize sometimes like what you've taken into the recording when it's been something that you've just had on. And especially if it's a little bit different to what you're doing, then it's nice. Like I remember when we're doing a single recording and we were listening to Guided by Voices, and then I think it was Exit Flagger. It was like, they just had like a 4 on the floor thing, and then I just did that in one of the songs, and I wasn't doing it at any point in the rehearsals, but it was just fun. I was like, oh yeah, I just heard that, and let's just do it. And obviously it sounds nothing like Guided by Voices, so you just get that little bit of now that's right, that was happening at the time.
I know that both of you love your movies, for example. Do other art forms from that period of time, do they stand out to you as having influenced you in any way? Were there any books you were reading, movies you were thinking about that you brought into the studio with you?
I feel like this was like still it's all a haze. I don't know. That's starting getting pretty abstract, especially as like a drummer. Like, I don't know if, was there like a, oh wow, that's from,
No,
Kramer versus Kramer.
No, but the emotional state you're in when you make an album, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I think, if I went back through my, my archive and worked out what it was, I could start to make those connections, which is like the fun part of it. Like, I watched that movie and then that put me in that headspace and I totally forgot and I wouldn't have noticed. But
I think that may have been the beginning of my Marx Brothers thing.
Oh.
Was Modern Shoe Times. I don't know what that could mean. Sort of anarchistic thing happening.
It's bass lines that go nowhere. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Just bits that go nowhere. Yeah, exactly. Chaos.
Chaos.
Let's do it. Yeah. Don't you know I hear the taps rinsing out the cups? Lace your socks and fold your shoes, pull on your button-ups. But won't you take my umbrella? You know the clouds out there, they rain. I never met an engine, don't need trains. Paint a picture of my back and its trademark slouch. Take the knots out, trade the tension for a thoughtful crouch. You can use my leftmost hand, you know the right one's got a scar. I never met an engine, don't need heart. Take my judgment, take my care, take my fertile fear.
Hello, I'm Luca, and I play banjo and electric guitar in Any Young Mechanic.
Hello, I'm Tia. I play violin and clarinet and synth in Any Young Mechanic.
Very good. Okay. Well, so Sam once described this album or the Any Young Mechanic pursuit in general at this stage as trying to make folk for the modern age. Can you expand on what you think folk for this age looks like and how you try to approach that as musicians? Sorry.
I think there's a lot of sort of aesthetics that come into play when you're trying to translate something that's traditionally stayed or what like people might believe to be outdated. Bringing it to a modern context. I feel like normally it has to do with updating lyrical content or putting a sort of like modern sheen production wise or even instrumentally. And I think with a lot of the stuff that we do, it's a lyrical content updating, perhaps seeing as we are playing like sort of oldish acoustic instruments. But I think also the way in which we play is maybe more modern than just by virtue of being modern people, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it's like playing with, into, and against conventions. Like people might have an association of what these kind of instruments sound like and the kind of music or messages that are communicated through those instruments. So people are kind of prepped for something, and then you can always do interesting things with whether you subvert that or you lean into it. And I think that's the main thing is using that instrumentation but to convey something that we're interested in and have it be quite against what a lot of contemporary folk music is or has become, which can be pretty conservative and very kind of glossing over in its lyrical content.
Yeah, and obviously, Tia, you have initially quite a classical background, and like the violin is inherently associated with classical music. How have you managed to break free of that with this record, or how did that initial background influence how you played, if it did at all?
Well, the thing that probably comes to mind most is actually more what like links into my classical music background. I've said a few times when we were rehearsing and making this record that the rehearsal and arrangement process felt like playing chamber music, and that's probably the part of my classical music background that I love and like still resonate with the most. And playing chamber music, which is based around small groups of people independent of a conductor, which can be a hierarchical kind of relationship in small spaces for small audiences. Like that's what that music is and was. That's what it felt like to make this record, and I really valued that. And like playing with people that I had grown up doing classical music with, like with Alan and Clara, both who I played in orchestras and those environments with, was really special. But I'm always trying to recontextualize my instrument, and same thing as with the folk conventions, to either play into or play against the conventions of what's associated with the instrument. And I don't think I play the violin on this record in any particularly challenging ways, but I know that I've done a lot of work to kind of reframe my instrument for myself and how I play it and how I use it. And I hope that it comes across as being a really integral part of the band rather than a kind of decorative additional instrument that's only brought in as like a studio thing, which often is how strings appear, which is fine, but not what I'm interested in.
Yeah. And what about you, Luca? Obviously, you've studied jazz guitar and, you play banjo and guitar. Is there any way that you're trying to break free of convention in the way that you're using these instruments in this album?
Well, specifically for this record, this was my introduction to banjo.
Yeah.
And I would still not really say that I'm a banjo player, but
crazy behavior?
I think that I approached it trying to add flourishes to the music that I would like to hear, regardless of what texture is sort of playing it. I think from song to song, there's like stuff where it's sort of padding out the song in like a guitar would, and some other tracks where it's sort of maybe more pianistic or sort of like floating above other things. A lot of the time, I feel like it's almost like a drum. It's sort of like like a constant sort of driving force throughout a track, which is different to how I'd play guitar, I suppose. So yeah, I mean, the whole thing was like an educational process for me, sort of like how to translate what I know and how I'm comfortable playing into something sort of somewhat familiar, but also like a little bit challenging. Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to talk about getting into the zone, like when it comes to recording an album and how you approach that, because obviously your careers right now are that you guys are musicians. Not a lot of people, I think, know how to reconcile that or how to treat music like a valid career. So how do you do that, if you do it at all? Like, do you treat going to the studio like clocking into the office, or do you prefer to have more freedom with it? Do you try to balance, make it a bit of both?
I still don't really know how to treat it like it's work. It's sort of years of unlearning still to be done, but it is quite tricky because your everything in your brain is sort of telling you like this is playtime,
Yeah.
but then I think that often results in maybe a lack of focus. I think for me, it honestly just takes a few go-throughs of a song to really kind of get where I need to be mentally, and then like just sort of really get into the flow state for a couple minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the kind of act of going into the studio always feels very important to me. And like, okay, I can just be here physically, even though I'm not really the kind of person that, it's like I'm only doing this. I find it very hard to be focused on one thing, or like completely, in the zone for one thing. But yeah, the act of going into the studio always feels like permission to myself, I guess, to take it seriously and like, okay, I'm here for the next, in the case of making this record, next 3 days. That's where I'm going to be. I'm going to be around these people, and that's really helpful for me because I can be very insular in my own head, doing lots of a million other kind of work-related things or whatever it might be at the same time. But yeah, the spatial thing is really helpful. It was interesting when we made this record because the space was had no real personality. Like usually studios are really beautiful or charming in some kind of fun way that I think helps with creativity or like feeling like you're making something. But this particular studio was very, what's the word? Like sterile? Yeah.
Sterile, yeah.
Unadorned. So I don't know. I feel like we really had to be there for each other because it was everything was just very empty, and I don't know how that kind of showed up on the record, but I did feel like we had to maybe push against that a little bit, which was unusual.
The modern shoe is ruining the foot. That was not recorded here, though, was it?
No, we did not record it here. We made it in the city, but not at this studio. But we've done lots of recording and practicing here and at Milestone as well, just Tom Spall's studio in the hills, and they're both very beautiful studios.
And so with The Modern Shoe is Ruining the Foot, then A Young Mechanic, obviously Sam initially writes the songs and then brings them to you guys and you contribute musically your own parts. How do you navigate the process of collaboration? Do you ever fear overstepping because you're, adding to something that comes from like a personal thing from Sam, or, how do you make sure that everyone feels heard, that feels like a product that you're all happy with and have contributed to?
I think we all trust each other a lot. Like obviously when we made The Modern Shoe, I guess it was the first time all of us in that particular configuration of people playing together. But I'd played with everybody at different points, and I don't know, to me it feels like the easiest way to be close to people is through making things together, and that idea of like stepping on someone's something that they've wrote is of course a consideration, but to me it feels like the easiest thing to navigate. Like that's what my musical skills are for, that's what they're all in aid of. And I feel that we've just gotten better and better at it since then, and we've kept making music in the time since we recorded The Modern Shoe, and I think that gets stronger, and that it's becoming even more flexible and collaborative. And it's still the same process that Sam brings us songs and then we kind of expand them together, but I feel like we're kind of pushing ourselves with what that collaboration looks like and what the arrangement can be, and I don't know, it feels really good.
It definitely taught me a lot about restraint and when to leave space and when to add and when to subtract. I guess I was sort of used to playing all the way through like a composition, and being a part of like a bigger group recording this album, it means you sometimes sit back and let other people come to the forefront sonically, and then other times you're there, like you're the main point of focus other than the vocals or whatever. So I think through this record and then since, like, it's taught me a lot about being mindful of your contributions to an arrangement and listening to other people.
And obviously it's been quite a while since you actually recorded The Modern Shoe is Ruining the Foot. How does it feel to play those songs again? Is there any kind of emotional distance there, or is it still quite emotionally immediate?
I don't know. Thinking about the recording feels quite far away, but we've obviously continued to play the songs in our lives as a band since then. Been playing them a lot live. Doing it in this kind of setting, like playing at Interim today, is really nice. I think it makes me feel a little bit closer to the time we recorded it, and particularly the songs that we're playing today are the ones where I don't have quite as defined parts and we don't maybe play as much live, or we kind of rotate through these ones a little bit more. So it's nice to get back into that headspace of you're kind of winging things a little bit, making things up and responding to what's happening around you. So that's been really nice. I really love these songs. So it's really nice to spend some studio time with them again.
Yeah, I think when we recorded them, it was sort of just one snapshot of these songs that have like evolved since. I think we listen back to the recordings now and we're kind of like, oh, that's not really what I play now. So we kind of have this ongoing relationship to the songs. I think they sort of are ever shifting, so slightly kind of like eroding, like over time. Sort of taking on a different shape, but with the the heart of it still being there. So in a way, I think that kind of keeps it fresh and exciting to play. And then you go back and listen to the recording, and then you try and copy what you did back then, and it kind of breathes new life into it as well.
But I will say, playing every time you put me up, I get down some new way, feels like exactly the same to me as when we were rehearsing it for the first time. Like, it's my favorite song on the record, and I guess probably a little bit because we don't play it live ever, because we had slightly different instrumentation for that song. Like, I play viola, which I don't have. I borrowed a viola for the actual making of the record. But yeah, just listening to Sam sing that song and playing it together as a band, I feel exactly the same as like the first time. Well, not the first time, but the time that we kind of made the song what it is. And it took us a while as well when we were rehearsing it. It was one of the ones that we left for ages because we didn't really know what to do with it. And then we came back later in the rehearsal process and added this big kind of extended outro that kind of shifted the meaning of the song a little bit. Yeah.
And I'm wondering what your relationship to music is like when you're in the midst of recording an album. So like when you were recording The Modern Shoe is Ruining the Foot, would you allow yourself to listen to other music, or would you fear that it would overly influence the decisions you were making in the studio?
I don't personally have any kind of rules or things like that for myself. I imagine that I lived my life pretty much as normal during that time. But I remember hearing other people talking about what they were doing, and I found it very inspirational, kind of getting to know my bandmates and listening to the way that they thought about those kinds of things. But I don't know, maybe I didn't fully take myself seriously yet as a member of the band in the way that I do now. And so, I don't know, I took the project seriously at the time of making this album, but I probably didn't think of myself as a musician, like living as an artist yet. So I don't know if I would have had any kind of thoughts about that at the time, but I don't know what that was like for you.
Yeah, I don't think I necessarily like put a limiter on myself and said I can't listen to any music, so as not to get that outside influence. But I think for me it would be positive. I don't think when something that I know has come from somewhere comes out in a song or playing, I'm sort of like somewhat appreciative of it, because it means that it's had some emotional resonance for me to come out. And it normally comes out in quite naturally and without me knowing that it's from somewhere. So yeah, I don't really go about it that way. And I think honestly, you can kind of get a little bit too bogged down playing the same song like 5 times in a row or more. So it's nice to have like some reprieve from that and still enjoy music. Sometimes you play a song 10 times in a row and you're like, oh my God, I want to throw my instrument out the window or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
It's bound with cuffs. and you couldn't say the same, 'cause I've got no more to read. I'll give you kerosene so you can smoke the screen, the can to sardine. Yeah, it's you.
Hello, my name is Sam, and I sing and play guitar in Any Young Mechanic.
All right, let's get into some questions.
Yes.
You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
So for posterity's sake,
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about the title. The modern shoe is ruining the foot. Obviously,
Yes.
I know where it comes from. Do you want to talk
Yes.
about where it comes from and why it felt like the perfect title to encapsulate
Yeah.
the themes of the album?
A friend of mine called Cam was spending a lot of time in our apartment because we were living together at this time, you
We
and
were.
me. And he had been scrolling on his phone for like an hour or something, trying to put like an invite list together for a party that he had started to overthink in a big way. And he said, I keep getting these like ads and it says stuff that like the modern shoe is ruining the foot. And that I was just like, you know, that was just, we just wrote it down, I guess.
Well, why
Yeah.
did it feel like? Obviously, it just sounds good, but
Yeah,
why do you think
well,
it fits with?
I think
the
it was
songs?
kind of like trying to do that, you know, trying to have some kind of take on modernism that both is what's the best way of phrasing it? Both has sort of like a slightly archaic feel, but is phrased in that sort of like hyper internet, like you're just seeing something really in black and white on your
Like a
sidebar of like,
headline,
you
yeah.
know, like doctors hate, like we could have called it like doctors hate this one simple trick. Like it's kind of like the same thing. That's basically what we mean.
Well, right now it feels like there's quite a political and thematic through line throughout all of the songs. Was that intentional at the time, or is that just kind of how it happened?
I think it was probably like with any kind of record, or at least any kind of record that we're making, you write a batch of songs from a time, and then certain things don't make the cut, and everything that feels sort of most thematically aligned tends to end up on the album, at least the way that we're sequencing albums at the moment. Basically wrote a bunch of songs between January of 2023 to, I want to say June was maybe when I wrote the last song for the record. But probably in that time we wrote, you know, there's 12 songs on the album, but I reckon I wrote 15, 16 songs, something like that, quite a few songs. And then things got cut based on whether or not they fit the theme or whether or not we still like them as a band. And mostly whether or not Jay liked them. And then kind of me and Jay like brought them to the musicians that we'd amassed over time and friends, and been like, well, let's put this thing together, I guess. Yeah.
And what did you want to achieve with this record? Did you ever have a moment of clarity where you're like, this is what I want to say?
Yeah. I had to apply for a grant to pay for any kind of recording at all. And with grants, you know, I mean, you know how it goes. Like you have to define your goal in an artistic project like 6 months out from
Before you
making
even
it.
know what the goal
yeah, but
is.
if it's like,
Yeah.
oh, do you have anything you want money for? It's like, well, I know I want money for something,
Yeah.
but like now I need to tell you, you know, sort of the beginning, middle, and end of what that project's going to be. And so I was kind of forced to write a big essay on like why the album was significant before we'd even made it, basically. And that was when I kind of read some Joan Didion, from one of your books, actually.
Probably from my collection.
Yeah,
Yes.
and
What Joan Didion? Do you remember?
I don't think it was Slouching Towards Bethlehem. I think I opened the book with the intention of reading Slouching Towards Bethlehem, and then there's like the Vegas wedding one.
Yeah,
and
it was the
and the
Vegas
like
wedding
Joan
one.
By. Anyway, all that stuff was kind of like, there are a lot of the same issues that she's talking about in those times that are kind of the same in our times, but just with like different aesthetic
Yeah, it's
hats
the
on.
60s again.
Yeah, it's the 60s. Well, it's always the 60s. It was the 60s and the 40s. You know, it's always bad. It's always scary. There's always art being made about it. What was I even talking about? Trying to. Oh yeah, I hate AI. That's what I should say. Was that on top of reading Joan Didion, I was also starting to see a lot of horse shit on the internet about AI, where it was just like this huge PR campaign about how rockin' it was, and how it was going to, take musicians out of jobs and all that.
I think this was when you were writing this. It was when ChatGPT was coming to the
Yeah.
forefront, because I think it was my last year of uni, and it
Yeah.
was when lecturers were starting to be like,
Yeah.
okay, if you use ChatGPT when writing
It was
your
just
essays,
like,
you have to cite
yeah,
it. It
no,
was
but
happening.
every conversation I was having about music was like, this AI thing's pretty scary, and I was kind of like, not really. Not if you've got a brain.
They can't replace
Like, not
me.
if you actually liked listening to music in the first place.
Yeah.
If you liked bands already, then you're gonna keep listening to bands,
Yeah.
and so it's just basically like, to try and be even slightly concise, to try and make the most human record possible, and have it sort of structurally rely on musicians being in the room, and no decision and no recording can be done unless everybody's in the room together, and there's no substitute for the kind of humanity of the thing, I guess. That was the intention.
Do you feel like a very different person now to the person who wrote those songs?
Yeah, kind of, but I think most of the time songs like reveal something about you, like, before you know it. Generally speaking, the song is like, sometimes like before you've come to a realization of it in kind of tactile, like conversational terms. So the songs might know who I am now, maybe, but it does feel like a very long time since I wrote them.
Yeah, that's what everyone else has also said about recording them.
Yeah.
They're like, man, that was ages
Well,
ago.
it starts to, like, it's hard to talk about it without sounding really like getting into like hippie time or something. But it's like you start to have like time stacking on top of each other, where the actual recording is supposed to be a sort of your attempt at documenting the time in which the songs were written, and then the actual recording time starts to document itself, and then the album is both sort of a document of the time in which it was like physically recorded and the kind of memory time that you're getting. And then there's also tour. It all becomes sort of attached to this, like, this LP, which, yeah, there's like so many different times and significant memories like attached to it, but it becomes very confusing after a while.
Do any memories of the recording stand out to you?
I remember getting porchetta sandwiches from Miles, who
Yes.
Miles
Farnham?
Farnham. Yeah, Miles
Yeah.
Farnham. Very good drummer who was also working at this porchetta sandwich place. It was really
In
good.
the Central Market, yeah.
I remember Sam Lynch, who I'm sure people have said this before, but he co-produced and engineered the entire record, mixed and mastered the whole thing. He had to press record while we started Bear the Brunt, and then run into the control room just in time to be able to play his harmonica solo that he plays on the thing.
No one has mentioned
a lot
that
of fun.
before. So
Oh,
I'm
that's
glad
good.
you have.
Okay, but
Yeah.
he was very funny. He had to sort of do a bit of a sprint to make it in by the time the solo section was coming up. It was funny.
I want to talk about when a song feels like a finished product to you, if it ever does. Is it when it has been recorded and can be listened to, or is it when it's in the actual act of being performed? When does that
That's interesting, because I think I care about that less and less the more that, like, I think as a solo musician, it's way more defined. I mean, I don't mean this in any kind of negative way, but like when you're a solo musician and you're working in your bedroom, when the song is like done is entirely your decision. And you can like really build it up, and you can get this kind of like this Frank Ocean level of perfection where you can do 50 versions of one thing or all that kind of stuff. And that can be very complicated, but it can also be simple because you're the one at the end of the day making all the decisions. But now with music, I care a little bit less about there being like a final perfect product where, it's more of a document of time rather than it being like the definitive version of a song. Like
No.
any record is like the definitive if it's on the album, it's the definitive version. But the way that we're playing at the moment, the kind of liveness of the recording means that the kind of distinction as to the definitive version of the song is kind of arbitrary, because the way we play it live is pretty much bang on what happens. Outside of like the inclusion, basically for this record, the inclusion of Clara is what makes it definitive.
Yeah, sure.
Because we don't have cello in the live performances at the moment. Having cello on this record and having the arrangements feel as full as they do, even though they're still like completely live, is probably what makes it definitive. But I think I'm more about like truthful documents, like the kind of audio verite thing that what Neil Young called it, where it was just like more of like a documentary style of album making, because I think that it's slightly too easy for things to be perfect now, or it doesn't surprise people. Like if something wrong happens, it just like reconfigures your or just wakes you up. It's like the cockatoo in Citizen Kane. It's like that, a mistake.
Everything comes back to Citizen
Yeah,
Kane.
yep.
How does it feel to play the songs again now? Because obviously you did actually record The Modern Shoe is Ruining the Foot quite a while ago. You
Yeah.
play them a lot live now. You've played them live today in the studio. Is there any kind of emotional distance there, or is it still very immediate?
It becomes hard to tell if we've done a good job, because we've, especially in an instance like this where there's like a limited audience, like, we're playing for Connor and Bryce and
Yeah, sure.
Nash and JJ and all the crew, but they're doing their own jobs, and they're thinking about whether or not the particular movement was right, or everyone is thinking kind of individually in a way. So it kind of can become a little bit difficult to say, I don't know, if something feels like indicative of a song, I guess. It's way easier when there's a crowd or when we're playing it live. It's like that is really helpful in reconnecting, because you see somebody who is like really overwhelmed by what's happening and is actually hearing it for the first time, or is really just watching it rather than having some other role in it. And that helps to kind of be beamed back into the moment, I guess. Yeah.
And obviously, we're both big believers in the intersectionality of art forms.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
For example, you mentioned Joan Didion already, but I also
Yep.
know that you are a big
Shout out
movie
Joan.
guy.
Yep.
I'm wondering if
Love
there
movies.
are any pieces of art that stand out, movies, books, or anything else, as really influencing you or being very
Yeah.
important to the time that you recorded the album.
It's not important to the time, but I do remember watching Amadeus with you, like
Oh.
on night 2 of the studio.
Did I fall asleep? I think
we
I
had
fell
Tia. Oh,
asleep.
really?
Yeah.
We had Tia over, and maybe someone else was over from the band. I can't remember, but anyway, we did watch Amadeus, but that didn't have too much bearing on making the record. But we did watch it around then. I feel like The Long Goodbye is probably. I honestly don't know if I saw it. This is what I'm talking about with time and all that. It's like I honestly don't know if I saw it before the album. But it does feel pretty tethered to the record for me now. Just like the music of and I said the music of Robert Altman. I guess it kind of is true. The music of Robert Altman, like the way that he utilizes music in his work, and that like a film can feel like it's being like it's live almost, like the camera movement is just like totally untethered, and there's zooms for no reason, and like with Brewster McLeod or something, they have the MGM lion roaring, except it's Renee, the actor, going, oh, I forgot my line, what is it again? And that's like as the lion's going, and it's like that kind of mistake based process is really cool. Or just like filling your world with characters that have minds of their own, which is kind of what a band is like, I think.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think Altman's approach to like ensemble casts was like the way that I wanted the band to be, where it's like, well, the song is the script, I guess, and the performance is still so much in the hands of an actor. Like, and that's kind of the same with musicians, where like you can have a song written, but having somebody come in and decide what their part is still just totally blows the thing open. Like it's not really set in stone.
There's an element of being unable to predict.
Yeah, or
what's
just
gonna
giving
happen,
something
that's how you want
life,
it.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a tree in the garden where I get my shade. Apples sprout from the branches, they grow red in shade. Now a python handsome to me, but his offers I do spurn. He said, now don't you know there's barns you just can't burn.
It's okay with me. Okay, everybody else? All right, great. I think we got it.